And there we go, right. Well, welcome back everyone. Whether you're watching on the live stream or watching this as a video, if you're not caught any of my live streams before, this is me. I have a webcam now. I've been doing some streaming and have more streams to come in the form of My Drive. What we're going to do today is go through the prologue for Season 3 of My Drive. So before we get into any nitty-gritty details, what is My Drive? For any of you people who are new, I want a little recap. I play, as you can see on the screen, Le Mans Ultimate, a game that came out at the start of 2024 and is the official game of the World Endurance Championship. The World Endurance Championship being sports car racing that features hypercars like we see on the screen at the moment, bespoke race cars, as well as GTE cars, which are kind of like track versions of sports cars that you might see out and about, and they race in endurance, hence the World Endurance Championship races, from anywhere between 6 to 24 hours, which for you WEC enthusiasts or people who want to watch something new, the Le Mans 24 hours is on, not this weekend, following weekend, and should be very good. The WEC season this year has been fantastic, so I do thoroughly encourage you, if you're not a WEC fan, go and check it out. They have all of their races on their YouTube channel, and they tend to put them up a few weeks after the actual race goes up, or you can go onto the WEC app. I think you can buy races individually or buy them as a year-long pass. I thoroughly recommend, because the action that you get in the WEC is incredible. Like, I was originally an F1 fan, recently come over to WEC in the last probably like 5 years or so, and the action you get is just incredible. So yeah, anyway, Le Mans Ultimate came out, and it was in early access, so missing a lot of features that it was hoping to have, and in fairness to the team, over the last year and a half they've made so many improvements to the game, mainly on the online side of things, not really touched a lot of offline stuff, but I have been offline racer for quite a while, do a bit of online here and there, but I do like career mode, so I decided to make my own called My Drive, basically taking the single weekend races that you could do, recording the results from them and doing a championship from them. So we had Season 1, which kind of like a test bed, didn't actually get all the way through Season 1, but learnt a lot of how to fit the races into my busy schedule, and then came back with Season 2. As you can see here, we've got the first race on in the background, where we drove in the Lamborghini SC63, I think it's called, and we had a fantastic time. We did all 10 races that are on the game. Obviously starting off here in Imola, and I think we ended up in, was it Le Mans we did the last one? No, Le Mans was halfway through. Brazil was the last one. And if you've not seen any of them, I do encourage you to go check them out. While you're down there, give me a subscribe and like the videos, very helpful. But no, what was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, did a Season 2, and basically did the races as and when I could do them, with the new feature of being able to start pause or save your game at the pit stops helped quite a bit, and then I commentated over the entire race, which some of you liked, some of you wanted a more personal view, which is what we're going to get in Season 3. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out, go check out the races. There are some in particular, like Circuit of the Americas, Bahrain, Imola, really good races, so I do encourage you to go check them out. But we are here today with the prologue. So in the WEC they have, before each season, they have the prologue, which is kind of like their testing session. So I thought I'd do a prologue for Season 3, to kind of go through some of the rules, some of the changes that we're going to have in Season 3 from Season 2, and give you guys a bit of a heads up of what's going to be happening. So I suppose one of the first things is, whether you're watching this live or watching this on video, I'll be live streaming each episode. I will most likely be doing them on a Friday, sort of around this time, luckily I finished work at 2 o'clock on the Friday, so I can pretty much jump straight on and do a race. Occasionally there might be a Saturday morning, but I will let you know if that's going to be the case. I will also basically take the entire race and chop off the ends and pop it onto a YouTube video, probably on the Saturday if I do it on a Friday. If I do the live stream on a Friday, that is. So if you're not a fan of live streams, or you're not around to watch the live stream, you don't fancy watching, you know, qualifying and whatnot, a little hint for what's to come. The full races will just be available on YouTube on my YouTube channel, which you might have noticed has had a little revamp. Felt like it was time to get rid of the pickles, and we're now Enduro Josh. So I hope you like the little channel rebrand. But yes, on to some rules for Season 3 of My Drive. So we have them up on screen here. A lot of these are similar, if not the same, to what we had in Season 2. So we've got 3 times the tyre wear, 2 times the fuel wear, to induce some strategy and some more pit stops into each of the races. Weather will be random. I don't actually think there's a weather system of sorts. But what I did with Season 2 was basically for somewhere where it might rain, like in Brazil, like a Fuji, basically decide on the day whether it should rain or not. And I'll do the same for this season. Obviously not every track will be raining. You know, somewhere like Spa you might get rain, somewhere like Le Mans you might get rain, but it might be very sporadic, because I do know the air are a bit stupid when it comes to rain. But we'll see how that goes. The new rule, which is, came in an update recently, is tyre blankets. So tyre blankets and the number of tyres that you can have being added into the game now. The WC don't use tyre blankets, so we're not going to use tyre blankets. Makes that outlap after your pit stops very treacherous, and can take a few laps to actually get your tyres up to temperature, which I like that challenge. And in terms of the championship, same as we had last season, we're going to have the drivers, the teams, and the manufacturers. The teams might not be totally representative of what we see in real world WEC. So, for instance, I think in WEC, all 3 Ferraris are part of the same team. We're going to have it as factory Ferraris as the red ones, and the air Forster of the yellow one. This worked well last season. If you've not watched it, this is a little spoiler. We ended up winning the drivers, but we had Toyota win the teams and Ferrari win the constructors, or the manufacturers, sorry. So, and that went down to the final race as well. So it was a good balance between the 3 championships. And for the teams and the manufacturers, only the top scoring driver or car in that team or manufacturer will score the points, just like they do in the WEC. So for instance, if it's a Ferrari 1, 2, 3, Ferrari will only score manufacturer points for first, whereas say if the AF Corse Ferrari win and the other Ferraris are second and third, the AF Corse Ferrari, which is on screen just behind this image at the moment, will score the maximum points, and the factory Ferrari will only score the second place points, and then whoever's in fourth will then score that point for their team. On to the races. So one thing I really liked about Season 2 was the different race types that we had. So we had standard, sprint, and extended. They have stayed for this season, but are slightly modified. So as I hinted at earlier, we now have qualifying for the standard races. They're staying at a 90-minute length, so an hour and a half, and they'll have a 20-minute qualifying before the session, before the race, which will award 3 points to pole position. In the WC they use 1 point. I thought 3 points was a bit more valuable. So this is basically to stop what we would have in Season 2, where if, say, a Peugeot or a Zossa Fraschini or a slow car randomly qualified at the top of the field, you get this quite big separation from, the leader or the leading 2 or 3 cars, because they'd be stuck in this train. So it was really difficult to catch them up. So we had this at Le Mans actually, where I think it was either a Peugeot or a Zossa, I think it was the Zossa Fraschini, randomly started second, while Kubica in the Ferrari qualified first. and Kubica was just able to run away to the point where, you know, we were 20-30 seconds behind him and couldn't do anything because we'd lost all that time in the train behind these Isotta Fraschini. So hopefully doing a qualifying means obviously it'll be a bit more pace orientated grid, and should lead to some closer battles, especially at the front. I will be doing it with all cars on track, which will add a little bit of jeopardy. Unfortunately, at the moment, there's no way to accurately mimic how WEC do their qualifying, because they do it basically in class sessions. So they'll have a GT session, hypercar session, and the top 10 cars from each of those will then go through to a GT hyperpole and a hypercar hyperpole. But Le Mans doesn't have that, so we're just going to do a 20-minute session, all cars on track. So there will be traffic involved, but that'll just be something you have to deal with. And a new rule for this season is tyre sets. So you can specify the amount of tyres that you get given in a given weekend. For the standard races, I'm giving us all 4 sets of tyres, so that'll be 16 tyres in total. The idea being that one set is used in qualifying, and then during the race, you know, we typically make 3 pit stops, so that's 4 sets of tyres, dropping that down to being 1 less, so 3 sets of new tyres at least for the race, hopefully to encourage the AI not to change their tyres as much. I think an update recently made them a little bit better at that, but making tyres a bit more of a precious resource rather than just having it limited. So, you know, I suspect what will happen is AI will use 2 sets of tyres in qualifying, so it might mean that they don't change tyres twice, or only use 2 sets in the race, or use a slightly worn set in the race, but adds a little bit of jeopardy to the race and means that you can't just change it every stop, or you really have to weigh up whether you want to change it every stop. And then the points will remain as they were last season, using the WEC's middle point band, so 38 points for a win, 27 for second, and then dropping down to 2 points for 10th. Moving on to the sprint races, they're staying at 45 minutes. These will have a random qualifying session, basically to be different to the standard extended, be really chaotic. We saw them being very, very chaotic last season, and just to keep that jeopardy going, and you will only be allowed 1 set of tyres. So you know, normally, I think in the sprint races last year, apart from Monza, we had to make 2 stops. All the other racetracks, we made 1 stop because it's about 25 minutes a stint on the fuel usage that we have. So you're going to have to use 1 set of tyres all the way throughout, so it's really important not to flat spot them. Not sure how this works if, you know, say someone gets a puncture, but I've never seen a driver get a puncture. But yeah, basically got to be very careful on your tyres. No opportunity to change them, you'll just come in for fuel. This uses the WEC short point system, so similar to F1, 25 points for a win, all the way down to 1 point for 10th. And then finally we have extended. These will be 150-minute sessions, so 2.5 hours, slightly up from the 2.4 hours of Le Mans that we did in season 2. I think that was 2 hours 24 minutes, rounding off to 2 hours 30, because there are more than 1 extended race this season, which some of you might be glad to hear. Qualifying sessions same as in standard, 20 minutes, with 3 points awarded to pole and 6 sets of tyres. The idea being similar to standard, that you get 1 less set of tyres than what you would normally have in a extended length race. And the points are double that of what the sprint races are, so 50 points for a win. As we saw, that's kind of what let Ferrari win the manufacturers in season 2, because they won Le Mans and got a huge points haul at that race. 36 points for second, all the way down to 2 points for 10th. And now finally, we have the calendar, which I'm sure lots of you are excited for. Let me just get it up. And here is the My Drive Season 3 calendar. We will be starting off in Bahrain. This will be next Friday, with Bahrain Outer extended, so basically almost an oval. We've gone for incorporating quite a few alternative track layouts to basically make it so that we're not doing the same race each season. At least they're a little bit spiced up. And I thought, you know, in IMSA, which is the American Sports Car Championship, they start off with Daytona, which is, you know, partly oval, so it'd be cool to have some sort of oval-like track to start off our season. So we're going to be starting off in Bahrain with that 2.5 hour race. It's going to be very difficult to manage traffic, very easy to lose quite a bit of time. Then we'll be going to go up to Spa for our standard race. Spa gave us a great race last season, and it's just a great classic race, really. Before we'll be going off to Monza with the Curva Grande edition, or of the... What am I saying? Monza Curva Grande layout, so no first chicane, just straight down Curva Grande, and then into the second chicane, which is now the first chicane, before sector 2. So very high speed, basically rounding off our high speed triple header to start off with, and that will be a sprint, so it'll be interesting to see how removing the first chicane affects fuel usage, because it was a very tight race on fuel last season. Then we'll go off to Brazil for a standard race, before heading off to back-to-back American races at Circuit Americas, with the short layout being used as a sprint circuit, and then the longer layout being used as standard, before heading off to our penultimate race of the season at Fuji, with the no chicane layouts. It'll be really interesting to see how the fast right-hander at the bottom of the hill affects traffic management, because that clunky hairpin chicane type thing was useful for overtaking and overtaking traffic, so it'll be interesting to see how the flow of the race is affected by that. Before we extended race sandwich of Le Mans Mulsanne edition, no chicanes down the Mulsanne, so really high speeds down there, and it will be very interesting to see how that affects racing, whether it will be slipstreaming and then getting re-slipstream overtakes, and that will be 2.5 hours to finish off the My Drive season 3. So if you're watching this video, tune in next week on Friday let me just have a look, Friday the 13th. Oh, that's not very good, is it? And if you've not guessed already by the thumbnail, we'll be driving in the Cadillac 03, so the yellow fronted Cadillac, with the storyline being that Cadillac saw the benefit of a 2-car team with Lamborghini last season, and they almost won in Fuji. If they just had one lap extra of fuel, they would have won, and we are kind of like fuel master in Le Mans Ultimate, so they've brought us over to their team, filled a second car, and hopefully used our fuel conservation ability to get them some results in season 3. But yeah, if you are watching the video, have a good weekend. I will see you next week, whether you're watching the live stream on the Friday or watching the video on the Saturday. I'm very excited to get underway with season 3, and hopefully it is enjoyable for all you guys. So I'll catch you then.